Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, it is I am the one and only Silver the Hedgehog here, and once again, I am back for the likes of the Maxi Toys videos once again. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back for some more of Let's Play of Super Monkey Ball Banana Mania for the PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5, Xbox One, Xbox Series X/S, PC Steam, and finally the Nintendo Switch. So, last time, we've essentially managed able to finish everything for the sake of the forms of the original stage mode. And, some of those stages are pretty tough, I'm not gonna lie, especially concerning about that specific point that it matches exactly the same gameplay style as the forms of how it does in the original counterparts ever since on the GameCube days. So, relatively speaking though, it's just a matter of the fact that it does take me a lot of attempts, specifically in Stamina Master, alongside with the forms of Dance Master and Dodge Master as well. But apart from those side of things though, we actually did that particular run okay enough as it is. So yeah, today for this video is about the fact that we'll be able to actually get into the point that, well, for those of you probably wondering, this is the true finale in terms of Super Monkey Ball Banana Mania. So because of this though, we're about to be tackling through the final two modes in the entire special mode. Like for instance, as you can see, that in addition about the fact that, in Journey forms that particular original stage mode, that we did somehow manage able to select the Sega Saturn as the actual playable character, whilst in here, that specifically the mode we hop into right now is Golden Banana mode, where basically not only we somehow managed able to collect some of these golden bananas, but it's also about the fact that we somehow selecting the Sega Game Gear as the another playable character. So because of that though, seems kind of strange kind of think about it that we actually playing as the Sega Game Gear. So but even then though, it's a shame about the fact that, like I said before, no Sega Mega Drive or Sega Master System as playable characters, including SG-1000 or anything else like that, or even Sega Mark III. But oh well, beggar cells can be choosers, I guess. So yeah, how it works for the forms of the Golden Banana mode, if you're probably wondering? Well, unlike in any other like stages in Journey forms of the Super Monkey Ball Banana Mania, is that there's no gold to be found. So, relatively speaking, in order able to complete certain stages in Journey forms of the Golden Banana mode, is that as you can tell, we need to gather every single Golden Banana in the entire stage. So because of this though, luckily there are about 10 stages all in all, and same applies with the forms of the final mode, which we'll save the final mode for last. That's just mainly because about the fact that I feel like that most of those stages are pretty tough, but I'm not gonna lie though, is that the reason why I'm saving the Dark Banana mode for last is because that particular mode is without a doubt is the hardest mode in the entire Super Monkey Ball Banana Mania as far as the actual things itself as far as usually is concerned. Although luckily though, as you can tell, is that certain stages in Journey forms of the Golden Banana mode, as you can tell, some of these stages do have additional timers. So because of this though, like for instance, for example, is that since we're now onto the dungeon level for presumably for the final time, for the majority of the forms of this particular run of Super Monkey Ball Banana Mania. So as a result that we actually got ourselves more time, which meaning about the fact that it does encourage you able to actually do with a lot, I mean a lot of exploration for the sake of the forms of trying to find, you know, certain golden bananas in particular. Although every time whenever you do manage able to obtain a golden banana, basically though you get yourselves additional banana points. So that's essentially how this goes basically. So either way though, yeah, that's saying something I suppose. So, but I digress. So, yeah, today's date, of course, here is the 29th of September today, in some cases in 2023 today. Only 2 more days to go until we move on to the 10th month, which is, of course, October. But I'm sure about the fact that some toys else were able to mention more about it during the course of the forms of October coming up. So, and to make matters even better, is that as far as what Sonic has already addressed about this, ever since in yesterday's Sonic Frontiers playthrough, that appears to be about the fact that it seems that Sonic is incredibly not going to be done just yet for Sonic Frontiers as the Let's Play itself. Even then, that he's not going to take a break on this at all. Because, obviously, about the fact that ever since in yesterday, the Final Horizons DLC has already been in existence ever since in about, well, a day ago. So because of that, though, hopefully that, again, he needs to able to actually get some bit of practice before he decides to able to dive right into the Final Horizons DLC before anything else happens. But either way though, I suppose time will tell, especially concerning about that particular point that, well, exponentially speaking though, is that, like I said before, that we're now onto the final portions of Super Monkey Ball Banana Mania before we move on to the next couple of Let's Plays in particular. So, but even then though, yeah, that's what I can really think about it. So either way though, and also, something's worth noting for is about the fact that there's no different colored goals either. So there won't be any like green goals or red goals to be found. So either way, time to deal with Dodge Maze for presumably for the final time anyway. And this time we actually got ourselves even more seconds. To be more specifically, we're now on to 300 seconds, which as a result, although some people seem to think about the fact that one of those stages in particular is without doubt the hardest in the entire game, next to the forms of the most punishing one, during at some points once we're able to actually dive right into the final special mode in the game. So as a result, you probably get the idea of what's to come. So because of this though, due to the forms of this particular restricted movements you have to put up with, but either way though, we'll save that particular topic once we're able to actually get into that particular, the final mode in the game, which is of course the Dark Banana mode. So, although relatively speaking though, is about the fact that when it comes to the Golden Banana mode, is that you can potentially try to able to unlock this, not just by the forms of, you know, the point shop, but it's also you can able to actually unlock this mode from the get-go, thanks to the forms of if you're ever able to actually purchase the Digital Deluxe Edition, which as a result does manage to able to contain this, alongside with the forms of other stuff here and there as well, but usually relatively speaking though, I always attempt to able to buy something sold separately during the forms of certain DLC, all things considered. So because of this though, yeah, there's not much else to say about the forms of the Golden Banana mode basically. In fact, kind of thinking about it though, that relatively speaking though, it does kind of remind me of the forms of one of those, well, let's just say enjoying the forms of the majority of Core Ripper, along with the forms of Marbles Balance Challenge, with those two games combined, that you have to collect a certain amount of orange crystals before you're able to finish the level. So as a result, it feels kind of similar for that regard. Although relatively speaking though, it's about the fact that I think, while looking back in our Let's Play of Core Ripper alongside with Marbles Balance Challenge, that I don't know about you, but I'm pretty sure the commentary is a bit alright. But even then though, that's saying something I suppose, especially concerning about the fact that we did Core Ripper ever since in 2015, and on top of that with Marbles Balance Challenge we've done that ever since in 2016. So I don't know if we might able to actually redo Let's Plays on those two games back to back. Although I'm sure enough though, we actually got tons of views for the sake of the forms of Marbles Balance Challenge, because I'm pretty sure nobody else has ever experienced that game either. Well, to be more specifically, that game was also known as Marble Soccer Core Ripper, but either way though, that might be saying something I suppose. So either way though, although, kind of thinking about it though, there's a couple of times though, I will admit though right away, is that I'm always off by one Golden Banana left, which obviously about the fact that, as I mentioned this before, this entire mode heavily utilizes a lot of exploration for certain stages, specifically in the dungeon and Dodge Maze, and even the upcoming maze-like levels, like for instance, I think Chaos is going to be also involved, so... But either way though, there are a couple of times that I always missed out on one of those last pickups left, or to be more specifically, the last Golden Banana needs to be obtained. But apart from those aside things though, you still got plenty of time in order to able to actually succeed during the forms of certain challenges like this one. So because of that though, so now we move on to paperwork. So this particular stage is pretty self-explanatory, especially noticeable. We've already experienced this stage before, ever since in the regular Super Monkey Ball 1 challenge mode in this game. So because of this though, yeah, that's not much else I can say. So, anyway, in terms of some other things I would like to mention about the forms of today's discussion, in terms of news alike, and that's what appears to be about the fact that recently, Google, as the actual website as far as I'm concerned, basically Google is now 25 years old, ever since in 1998. So, Man, time flies, especially concerning about the fact that during the other day, actually, whenever I managed able to actually get into the actual Google website itself, obviously they did the actual 25 number on here to signify about the fact that yes, Google has been celebrated the 25th birthday. So yeah, happy 25th birthday of the entire Google website. So, and I usually use that a lot for the sake of the forms of the majority of certain parts. Specifically, during the course of the forms of not only certain images to check out, but it's also with the forms of certain articles I would love to able to read through. And it seems definitely feels a little bit more interesting when it comes to able to searching on things. But that's the way I feel about it, I guess. So anyway, there's also another thing I should probably explain about this as well. Is that, potentially speaking of, there's also yet another game that's going to be releasing during at some point during, let's just say, for about next week or so, or something related to that. And that's what appears to be about the fact that there's going to be a complete edition of the forms of, well, let's just say, Horizon Forbidden West. So as a result, it's going to get the complete edition. So because of this though, certain content we're able to contain, which unfortunately though, I didn't seem to able to find out the actual translation for any other languages, because at the moment, I've only found the ones with the forms of, I don't know what language this is, to be honest with you, because I know for a fact it has been a very long while since we've last mentioned something related to Horizon's Forbidden West, because I know for a fact that that game came out for about a year ago, ever since in 2022, at least as far as I could recall, next to the forms of, you know, Mario plus Rabbids Sparks of Hope, and also Splatoon 3, and of course Sonic Frontiers, and you probably named the rest of it though. So anyway, in terms of another thing I should probably explain about this as well, as far as what Sonic has already explained about this, ever since in the Sonic Frontiers playthrough so far, that yes, one of those episodes in particular from My Little Pony Friendship is Magic called Sounds of Silence, basically that episode has officially became, well, 5 years old now. So because of this though, while looking back on that particular episode in theory, that I actually still had a really great time watching that particular episode, especially noticeable because they actually introduced, I'm not gonna lie, the pretty cool character, which appears to be Autumn Blaze, because seriously, she's such an adorable pony, which as a result, I have no idea why that Shadow just says to me saying like, do you have a crush on her or something like that? And I was like, no, I had Blaze, the cat, despite the fact that she does not appeared on our channel yet. So yeah, because I always think about her, especially noticeable after the events of trying to deal with the Iblis Trigger himself, or Iblis. But either way though, that might have to be like, I don't know what you would call it. So, but anywho though, another explanation I should probably want to address something about this as well, is that we actually got ourselves not only one new trailer, but also a sneak peek, the sneak preview, for the sake of the forms of one of those upcoming seasons for something related to the Netflix series that we're most likely excited for. First of all, they did bring us a new trailer for Disney Wish, and it does look a bit interesting. I'm not exactly sure if I was going to able to try to see that on a big screen in day one, because I was expecting about the fact that maybe there might be some potential about it. Oh, and while on the subject of the forms of Disney, unfortunately though, I have some bad news to tell you. Unfortunately though, our Disney Plus application just feels a bit stubborn, which as a result, if you want to know why that is, well, basically it sends me an error code, which means I can't be able to actually access to any other specific shows or any other episodes for certain shows like The Simpsons, the Treehouse of Horror episodes, which as a result, it really tends to bug me, especially concerning about the fact I was really looking forward to able to actually to start watching those Treehouse of Horror episodes for the sake of the forms of The Simpsons itself, because obviously Halloween is just almost around the corner. So as a result, we've only just got about 32 days to go until that particular Halloween is about to start. I mean, relatively speaking, it just feels kind of annoying and inconsistent when it comes to technical difficulties, when it comes to, like, you know what I'm saying, able to actually access to other things worth noting for, but I'm just seriously paranoid about the forms of how Disney Plus, it feels a bit way too stubborn. So because of that though, yeah, it's kind of unfortunate, you know. Maybe at some point that maybe Twilight Sparkle can able to actually fix that problem, but I have no idea of what the heck is going on at this point. So, but either way though, anywho, in terms of another thing I should probably explain, is that it looks like we actually got ourselves our first glimpse of the forms of our first look, thanks to the forms of, let's just say, one of those specific presentations called Drop 01 or something like that, and that's what appears to be none other than the third season of Sonic Prime is definitely going to be coming. So, as a result, whatever we did look upon the forms of certain previews of that particular season, all things considered, it does look a bit interesting, especially concerning about the fact that, well, I'm probably not going to spoil things too much as far as I'm usually concerned with, because for those who have not seen the second season so far in Sonic Prime, because obviously I'll just keep my lips sealed for the time being, just in case you don't able to get the plot too spoiled for yourself, especially concerning about the fact that it does get a lot of depth to it though, but even then though, that might be saying something, so. And also, I want to classify for something about the fact that during the course of yesterday's uploading schedule, specifically for Sonic Frontiers, we do apologize about the fact that there's a lot of weird edits has been going on for the commentary, most notably because, once again, the microphone that we usually have just keeps on glitching itself, so hopefully that will not be the case during the forms of today's video anyway, I'm hoping anyway, just to ensure I just want to able to double check on certain parts if there are certain issues has been addressed, but either way though, I found it very annoyingly and shameful, so because of this though, yeah. Now in terms of the forms of Sonic Prime Season 3, as far as I'm concerned, it still hasn't been confirmed the actual release date for it yet, but my guess it will probably have to be by the end of this year, particularly for the sake of the forms of, let's just say in winter 2023 or fall 2023, because I'm sure enough though is about the fact that I think it might actually able to release that, maybe around the same time as when the 1 year anniversary of this entire Sonic Prime TV series as far as I'm concerned, or specifically the Netflix series as far as this is concerned. I highly doubt about the fact that Sonic Prime is not going to get the physical release, I don't think, because as obviously it did say, Netflix presents, so maybe it's possible if Chicken Run Dawn of the Nugget might be able to actually get the actual DVD physical release or something like that. I highly doubt with the faults of My Little Pony and New Generation after all, just because it's pretty much stuck on Netflix, so. Well, apart from few occasional exceptions though, which is of course Sky Store and all that stuff, and also digital purchases for the likes of iPhones and all that stuff, but either way though, it just feels kind of weird able to not to have the physical release of G5 movie at all, at least after 2 years ago, so yeah, it seems kind of weird, so. And as far as I'm concerned, it's because of how the fact that, well, at some form or another, that hopefully by that time until 2 months' time, we're able to dive right into the 6th and presumably the final chapter of Make You Mark series, as far as I'm concerned. Now, for what I've heard about it anyway, is about the fact that a lot of people seem to able to have a lot of negativity about you during the forms of the entire Make Your Mark series as of now, mainly because of the forms of this unexpected character development, or perhaps even maybe the stories are no longer interesting and also fascinating. And on top of all that stuff though, they, you know, retconned during the forms of G4, which as a result, speaking of the forms of G4 though, is that I do notice right from the start though, is that the best gift ever for the likes of based off from G4 of My Little Pony is probably, is without a doubt, is the greatest episode in Journey Forms of Friendship is Magic. Or, on the other hand though, when it comes to the forms of Winter Wish Day for G5 Christmas special episode, it seems to be more specifically that episode is by far is the worst one, which I have no idea why that might be seems to be the case. I'm guessing because there are quite a few animation errors, or perhaps even maybe, just maybe it doesn't seem to able to have, although it's hard to explain because I know for a fact it has been almost about a year ago since I actually have last seen the 3rd chapter of Make Your Mark, but still. But anywho though, oh god, this level right here. This is without doubt one of the hardest levels in this entire mode. Mainly because not only do you have to able to go through all that particular tedium thing itself all over again if you keep falling off, but also short things worth noting for is that, well, at first I thought to myself about the fact that we can pretty much guarantee to able to actually collect those golden bananas no problem, but as it turns out, in the ending portion is where it starts able to hit its entire surface, where it comes to like, well, difficulty spike, especially noticeable because, you know, controls might be felt a bit unintuitive, unlike the forms of how it does it on most of those Monkey Ball games on the GameCube, so you wouldn't expect about the fact that the physics and controls are a little bit more entirely different than the forms of how it does it on the GameCube side of things. So, but you know, you get the idea about that. So, yeah, because of that though, I can seemingly to say, alongside with the forms of the next stage coming up, which it won't be happening until by that time, until likely or so, once we finish up everything in Golden Banana mode, but let me tell you, for this particular stage in Golden Banana mode, it's not only it's incredibly unintuitive, but it's kind of luck-based at times, mainly because of your bounce physics. So because of this though, or for that bouncy bump that you did somehow manage to able to pull off during the course of this entire stage itself. So now, rather than just trying to able to actually go into a normal attentive way, so now we need to rely on going onto this finished path. You know what, that time that where the green goal was originally placed on? Well, we need to able to actually go in there, and luckily we do have the ability to able to rotate the camera at the very least, but trying to go straight on it though, it just feels very, very difficult to able to execute. So, which that reminds me, I was expecting to able to originally try to able to utilize the GameCube controller adapter to make the actual precision a lot easier. But unfortunately though, I didn't seem to able to be bothered about it, especially because, well, I suppose no matter what though, the reason why I still managed to get myself my official, genuine GameCube controller adapter for now is most notably because of the forms of the Super Smash Bros. The Wii U game I was attempting able to try to go back into at some point, despite challenges are just like the equivalent to getting 100%ing Super Mario Sunshine, basically, because of how abundantly ridiculous that can be for certain challenges for Smash 4, the Wii U most notably, so, but I digress. So, yeah, I'm very excited to see how the fact that what the third season's gonna bring us something into for Sonic Prime. In fact, let me know in the comments down below for the question of the day. Are you guys excited for the sake of the forms of Sonic Prime Season 3? Once that particular season decides to able to come out at some point by the end of this year or something like that. So let me know in the comments down below what you think about it, because I'm sure enough, I'm pretty darn excited for that. So, but even then though, I'm sure that most Sonic fans will also be excited about this as well. So yeah, you probably get the idea about that. So, but anywho though, in terms of another thing I should probably explain about this as well, is that, I think relatively speaking though, is that one thing I totally forgot to mention about, in terms of the forms of the, well, during the forms of this process, during the forms of, well, I suppose that Sonic also technically kind of mentions that already, even for the sake of the forms of in the Sonic Frontiers playthrough so far, that, as far as I'm concerned, that, basically in terms of content they'll get, for, well, we did somehow make a mistake for the likes of the forms of certain conversations about the forms of Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, Booster Course Pass, that, as it turns out, I don't think it's going to contain the actual physical game case or anything else like that, so instead it actually gives you the forms of the actual download code. And in addition to that, and what I've noticed is that the amount of content they've got, they're able to actually give you like 4 pins, and also a set of 5 art cards, and with double-sided feature, so that's interesting. And finally is the 10 sticker sheets. So yeah, that's the amount of content you're going to be getting if you decide to go after this particular cool collector's box for the likes of Mario Kart 8 Deluxe Booster Course Pass. So, well, specifically for those of you who want to pre-order that in the UK version, so yeah, you probably get the idea about that. So, Anyway though, there's also another thing I want to address something about this as well, is that there are some new games has been just recently being confirmed for its release date and all that stuff. First of all, in terms of the forms of some games in particular, specifically, Sunshine Manor is the 8-bit blood soaked horror game or something like that. That particular game is about to be out at some point during the 6th of October, so yeah, I guess that's all I can really think about it. Especially concerning that that particular game is going to be releasing during the Halloween season, of course, so yeah, I guess it's that. And on top of that, there's a game called, let's just say, Hatch Tales. Hatch Tales is going to get its Switch release during at some point on March 2024, the same month as Princess Peach Showtime is going to be releasing. So, we're not exactly sure when exactly is it going to be releasing during that some form or another, but that again, though, we have to wait and find out once we make our way to 2024, of course. So, but as you can tell about the fact that I'm having a lot of struggles with this stage, because again, this last part is so gosh darn unintuitive, and on top of all that stuff though, it's not as precise as I was hoping for anyway, but at the very least you do have the ability to able to take control of the camera, so at least it's that, but still, this particular stage is not as easy as it looks, especially because you have to rely on the forms of trying to able to stand onto this particular finished part of this though, although luckily though is about the fact that, well, if you do have enough banana points, if you have certain struggles with the forms of certain stages like this one, there's an option for you. You can able to actually skip this entire level as marked as cleared, and then you can able to move on to the next stage. But if you do that, not only does it waste your banana points if you really want to buy the remaining items and stuff like that, but also about the fact that it does give you a silver icon instead of the forms of the gold icon. So that might be the only difference between the journey forms of if you complete the stage as normal, or potentially speaking though, if you really want able to mark the entire stage as cleared. Although, I'm sure that most people already know about this, even especially noticeable if you're the newcomers who ever experienced this game before, then you probably get the idea why I was going to be talking about this, so I'm pretty certain about the fact that with the Game Gear character model is obviously based on the forms of international worldwide Game Gear model as far as I'm concerned, so there's no Japanese variant or anything else like that, so yeah, I guess that makes it totally obvious for the sake of the forms of what the model is actually based off from. But even then though, dang it, I was literally so close to able to actually just to complete this, because still, it's not as easy though, unlike the other stage coming up, so although I was expecting to able to jump cut my successful attempt, but honestly, I just, at least potentially speaking, this stage doesn't take that very long to able to actually get to this process. It's just the ending portion just gives me a lot of trouble with this point, so although exponentially speaking though, is about the fact that when you get the down of it though, then you might be okay, but it's just that, gosh darn it, this last bit is just so imprecise for my liking, so hopefully this might be my... Ah, come on! Oh, I hate this level. Although it's not so bad on the regular stage, aside from the fact that you have to able to aim for the blue goal, that's all that really matters. Unless if you manage to able to try to do a skillful player, like going after the green goal within like a few moments notice, and then obviously about the fact that, I just can't even believe by saying this, is that we did not realize that we accidentally managed to able to activate the warp goal during the course of being a master difficulty in Super Monkey Ball 2 challenge mode, which I know it's not to be on purpose, but it's just that it might be feels a bit of like a mistaken kind of vibes to it. So, but even then, no, let's see if we can able to make it. Yay! Oh, jeez, it did took me about a couple of attempts to able to actually complete this level. So, either way, now let's move on to the final stage in Golden Banana mode, and that is, oh boy, Crazy Maze. Here we go again. So yeah, it has been a very long time since we actually been into Crazy Maze, ever since in, well, story mode, obviously. Now, I was expecting to originally try to call this lap width, but of course lap width has already been addressed in one of those Super Monkey Ball 1 levels in the forms of in a challenge mode in this game, so they can't just able to actually have a yet another name for the likes of lap width, because it will make things a little bit more confusing, so... Which that probably explains why, in Journey forms of not only, let's just say in Mario Party Superstars, where they basically decided able to rename Money Belt to X-Ray Payday, just to ensure it doesn't get too much confusion for the similarity for its minigame name, except with the forms of that, the lack of S with that particular belt name, so... Anyway though, and of course, just like in Dodge Maze, obviously we do get loads of time, specifically 300 seconds, so yeah, that's what I can really think about that as far as the forms of this particular stage is concerned. Although, as far as I'm aware, is that Golden Banana mode might take a very long time to able to complete everything, especially during the forms of one of those stages in particular, which is of course Strander, which, god, Strander as the level itself in Golden Banana mode is pretty hellish able to complete, I'm not gonna lie. Especially concerning with the forms of that precision you need to able to keep an eye on with. And in addition to that though, there's a lot of like, you know, trial and error you have to go through during the course of that particular stage, so... But either way. So, anyway, there's also another thing I should probably explain about this as well, is that, relatively speaking though, there was actually going to be an upcoming Netflix series that's about to be announced. Although it did recently announce just recently, and something tells me about the fact that it's going to be a yet another video game based adaptation. So as a result, this time around though, it appears to be based off from Tomb Raider, The Legend of Lara Croft. So yeah, it seems about the fact that the Tomb Raider, The Legend of Lara Croft anime is definitely coming onto Netflix. So yeah, it does seem pretty interesting, all things considered, because after all, we've already managed able to actually got announced the Tomb Raider remastered compilation games for the likes of the forms of not only for Nintendo Switch, but maybe other major platforms as well. Mind you, I haven't exactly paid attention to the forms of multi-platform stuff for quite some time, especially because I'm still pretty much going to be focusing on, you know what I'm saying, Nintendo Switch, because obviously Nintendo Switch is still doing pretty dang awesome as far as this is concerned when it comes to like game sales and all that stuff, and you name the rest. Speaking of which though, it's about the fact that most people are pretty worried about the actual Nintendo Switch's library right now, most notably because about the fact that they are pretty much worried about the fact that there won't be going to be any confirmation about the forms of the sequel of Super Mario Odyssey, because as far as I can tell, I'm pretty sure that Nintendo might able to actually move on to the next generation of consoles, specifically when it gets to the point in joining next year or something like that. But then again though, we have to wait and find out during at some point in 2024, at least after the final few sets of games will be releasing during that period, so... But then again, we'll have to wait and see. So I believe something tells me though is about the fact that once you do manage able to complete every single stages in the Golden Banana mode, and you get yourselves a nice little unlockable thing you can get, but it's more accurately like a cosmetic skin basically, so but even then no. Oh, and speaking of something related to cosmetic and stuff like that, now as far as what Sonic has already mentioned about this already, is that there is still a chance that you can able to actually still get an extra chance to able to actually get yourselves Gold Mario as the unlockable playable character during the course of in every single mode throughout the entire Mario Kart Tour game. But I do already know about for the fact that I think there's also going to be a golden standard 8 model for the sake of the forms of the cards as far as the actual rewards you can get. But honestly, I think I've already got that ever since in Journey forms of quite a few months ago. So because of this though, I still really hate this bit. Because you need to get quite a good speed around here, especially because if you're too slow, and you're probably not going to make it for that particular pivot point right there. Oh, wait a minute. I get the horrible feeling is that something tells me that, yep, I was once again off by one golden banana left, and I think I accidentally trapped myself. So because of that though, yeah, that was a total mistake. So, at least the entire stage, I'm not gonna lie, it's actually not too difficult as far as I was imagined. So, well, at least unlike in the previous stage, it is way more difficult than it looks, especially concerning about the fact that you have to rely on the forms of that particular balancing skills, and on top of that with the momentum, and especially noticeable with the control differences here and there. Like we already on about with the forms of the control differences like so many times, but it bears repeating, so because of that though, yeah, you get the idea. So yeah, what do I think about the forms of the Golden Banana mode? It's actually quite an interesting game mode, honestly, especially concerning about the fact that you're obviously gonna have to be able to search around to try to able to find as many of those golden bananas as you could. So just in case you can able to actually like, well, keep on collecting them, and if you collect them all, then you can able to move on to the next stage, and vice versa. So but even then though, that it does kind of reminds me of like a similar kind of concept as uniforms within, let's say it feels kind of similar to me though, as in the grabbing all the purple coins for the likes of not only in Super Mario Galaxy, but also with Super Mario Galaxy 2 as well. So, now I bet that a lot of people are about the fact that they're still begging for Galaxy 2 to be ported over to the Switch, but it's actually a very difficult situation right now, mainly because that the Switch is almost at the end of the road in terms of lifespan or something like that, before they moved on to, you know what I'm saying, the next generation of consoles for Nintendo. But even then though, again, we'll have to wait and find out until the forms of 2024, like I said before. So, okay. At least I got that golden banana anyway, so, and good thing I did not fall off, because if I dare fall off the stage, I have to go for this entire collectathon all over again. I mean, sure enough though, it might not be too bad once you're able to pay attention to the forms of the layout, especially concerning about that particular point that at one point, I was looking on the forms of the guides for able to actually just try to find the actual specific golden bananas, but the more you go further ahead, almost right near to one of those golden bananas in general, then you won't be able to having that much trouble to able to actually finding them to begin with. So at the very least that's that, especially concerning about that particular point that at least the directions does manage to become a little bit more clearer. So but even then though, as long as you were able to pay attention to the forms of the shiny effect during the forms of the golden banana itself. So but yeah, that's what I can really say about this, I guess, when it comes to Golden Banana mode in general. So, in fact, what was the hardest level you ever experienced in Golden Banana mode? Because I'd like to hear your thoughts. Because for me, the hardest one out of them all, though, is definitely Stage 9, just because of how finicky the actual momentum is, and especially noticeable, I can't even believe you have to able to go down the hardest route in order to able to completely done everything in Strider. So, either way though, it looks like we're almost there now, so we just have to able to once again build our speed up until, oh nice, at least we somehow made it this time, so I guess that's that. And there goes the Golden Banana mode. So yeah, that's all the stages in Golden Banana mode. So what's the reward you do get if you manage to complete the Golden Banana mode? You get Golden Eye. So as a result, speaking of golden related characters, so we do have the ability to play as Golden Eye, which obviously it turns into gold and nothing else, but on the upside is though, we'll show him off for last, although I was expecting to try to able to include classic variants for certain characters we can able to see in action, but unfortunately though, we've already unlocked the Golden Eye, so I suppose that we will have to able to deal with it anyway. So anyway, here we go, on to the final special mode in Super Monkey Ball Banana Mania, and it's a good thing we saved this one for last, because this is without a doubt is one of the hardest special modes in the entire game in my opinion, alongside with the forms of original stage mode. So here we are onto Dark Banana mode. So what Dark Banana mode actually plays out to be, basically though, in this entire portion of this entire mode, basically we need to avoid bad bananas, because obviously if you dare touch one of those bad bananas, you get game over instantly, so you have to retry the entire stage again, as long as you were able to actually get some progression as far as this is concerned. So, but at the very least though, I will try my best as soon as I was able to actually complete certain stages on my first attempt or something like that, although unfortunately though, in cross floors that I somehow screwed up in the first attempt, just because of all that particular speed, momentum have to put up with. But on the upside is though, with the forms of Ant-Man, as you can tell, or Ant-Lion, as far as I meant to say, that basically though, that it's pretty easy when you try to able to figure out the layout, but still, it is incredibly tricky sometimes, especially noticeable when it gets to the point on the 8th stage. My god, the 8th stage is by far one of the hardest stages in the entire game, especially because of how the fact that you have to deal with the most, well, one of those stages in particular is not that very long, it's just that the process of able to actually reach certain points throughout, it's very, very tricky. So because of that though, yeah, that's what happens if you dare manage to touch the Dark Banana to begin with. Basically though, you get game over and you can't move. So, and generally speaking though, that's the perfect example of why that we didn't seem to able to have that much banana points every time whenever you do manage to able to collect or accidentally obtain the Dark Banana, because obviously Dark Banana is quite the hazard. So the only way you can able to actually get banana points in this mode is by completing the stage as normal. So I guess that makes it pretty obvious for the sake of time. So
Ready?
and I just realized that destruction level actually now has more timer. So because of that though, it was originally 60 seconds, but now it's changed to 90 seconds. So that's quite interesting. So anyway though, in terms of other stuff I would like to mention is that, honestly, that's why I can really talk about this, especially concerning about the fact I briefly mentioned about quite a lot of things here and there from time to time, but honestly, it's just about the fact that, although, relatively speaking though, is that the next tour's trailer for Mario Kart Tour, which appears to be, of course, the Battle Tour, has already been came up, and like what Sonic has already said about this before, the actual in-game content will get repeated more often. So because of that though, again, no new battle courses to be found, or new characters, or new me racing suits, because, you know, the amount of content in Mario Kart Tour is done. Like, completely done. So, I have no idea why I just did that little pop thing from earlier, but that's just because about the fact I was trying a little bit more sarcastic or anything else to be more specific of how that's gonna turn out to be, but either way. Alright, so it looks like we're now onto the 5th stage, and it's already gonna be pretty tough as it is, because sometimes though is that certain Dark Banana locations are always feels a bit too close to my liking, although if you try to do a little bit of a shortcut, well, it's not gonna work, so we have to do it the hard way by doing the stage as normal. So yeah, I can totally see why this particular mode is definitely a little bit more challenging. But at the very least though, I'm alright with a challenge like this, because thankfully you can able to actually fall off as many tries as you like. Especially concerning if you made one wrong move, obviously you do get infinite amount of lives. So at least that's very generous as far as, you know, generous things as far as I'm concerned with. So although there are a couple of times though that you have to able to try to figure out another way to able to go around the goal, because there are a couple of times though where the Dark Bananas decides to block the front way of the forms of the goal itself, like for instance in Narrow Peaks for example. Yeah, that Dark Banana right there just blocks our path, so we have to carefully maneuver the character around, and then you weren't able to get the goal from here. So yeah, definitely a little bit of a nice move right there, especially concerning about the fact that I'm obviously up for the challenge for certain situations, but either way though, that's all I can really think about it, I guess. So, and also something worth noting for is that Golden Eye, as far as the actual voices are concerned, unlike the forms of this metallical voice for Gold Mario, for the sake of the forms of not only Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, but also with Mario Kart Tour as well, that it seems that Golden Eye does seem to have a normal voice, so that's pretty standard stuff. And what the heck? I touched the tape! Oh, jeez. That could be... I think this particular stage is kind of feels a bit luck-based, just because you never know. If you ever managed able to... I swear I was able to try to touch the actual gold tape, but next thing you know is I accidentally managed able to touch the Dark Banana instead. So, you know, think of like if you ever tried the rotten banana. Ugh, trying to able to actually eat the rotten banana just tastes a bit disgusting for my liking. But I think to me though, eating fresh banana is always a good thing, especially concerning about the fact that seriously, you really need to eat you know, a lot of salad and also fruit, because these food are good for you. So, which is understandably so, especially concerning about the fact that, well, we already know about the diet. So, at least unlike in Junior forms have been, well, I don't know about you, because I have already noticed right from the start, though, it has been about quite a few days ago, actually, since we last been into the forms of Super Monkey Ball Banana Mania, as far as I'm concerned. Although, after we're pretty much done with this, though, I might as well able to take a break on this game for a while, and then I'll be back onto this game on my own time, just in case I can able to actually unlock some more missions to complete, and also say applies with the forms of trying to play out certain party games on my own time, despite, well, wish me luck for able to actually decide able to play through Monkey Target in Banana Mania version, despite the momentum in that particular version is screwed up. So, and there's also no multiplayer if you're trying to share the controllers either, so whilst unlike in Super Monkey Ball 1, Super Monkey Ball 2, and Super Monkey Ball Deluxe, that you do have the ability to able to actually share the controllers with 3 other people, all in one, for certain mini games or party games for that matter, for, you know, Monkey Target, and Monkey Bowling, and Monkey Golf, and that's all I can really think about it. It's kind of weird about the fact that they do not contain the ability to able to share the controllers to each other. There we go! Oh my god. That particular stage feels a bit luck-based in Dark Banana mode. I'm gonna say this right now. That particular stage can be felt a bit luck-based. Alright, so we've almost done. It's just about the fact that we've only got a couple of stages to go, so... And just like the forms of how it does it on the Golden Banana mode, Dark Banana mode also has 10 stages, so at the very least the actual length isn't exactly too long, so... And there we go, that's pretty much it for that particular stage. Now we get on to the elephant in the room when it comes to difficulty in Dark Banana mode. Here we go into, without a doubt, the hardest level in the entire game, which appears to be Twin Basin Dark Banana mode. And why this particular stage is so difficult? Quite a number of things. 1, too many emphasis on the forms of Dark Banana placements that like to throw you off at one point. And 2, you need to get a lot of good momentum and a good speed at the same time, because if you screw up one of those bits in particular, and obviously if you accidentally touch the Dark Banana, you have to restart this entire process all over again. At least the first part isn't too hard or difficult, it's just the last one is always so much of a struggle, which I can totally see why. A lot of people address this appears to be without doubt the toughest level in the entire Super Monkey Ball Banana Mania as far as the game itself, as far as I'm concerned. Although, there's actually another thing I want to address something about this as well, is that you obviously already know is that this game does have the returning feature from Super Monkey Ball Banana Blitz. That's what appears to be the jump feature. Imagine if you do manage to unlock the jump feature, you should be alright, as long as you were able to actually realize that your clear time does not get uploaded online, meaning about the fact that, well, it seems totally obvious because of how the fact they just don't want to see any other players thinking you're cheating or something like that. But regardless of everything else though, it's just about the fact that this stage itself, not only it feels a bit cramped, but it's also about the fact that you need to able to get a good right momentum, especially noticeable you need to get a good amount of speed if you really want to move on to the next point of the level. So yeah, I can totally see why this stage is incredibly difficult, especially concerning about the fact that if you managed able to first got there, and then if you got enough banana points, as far as I'm concerned, well, luckily you can able to actually just to get this stage marked as cleared, as long as you were able to realize that one of your missions will not be completed by then. So yeah, this might took me a lot of tries, especially concerning about the fact that, gee, no wonder why that a lot of people seem to able to have a lot of frustrations on this stage. So, but I do know for certain, for one thing in mind, is about the fact that, again, you don't have to necessarily worry about, you know, getting a game over so many times, aside from your time is pretty much being wasted if you keep on, like, getting, you know, game overs quite a few times. But either way though, still, this is just too cramped for my liking. So, but at least that's what I can really think about it as far as I'm usually concerned with that. So yeah, it's just this part. You need to be able to get a good timing with this, and especially noticeable if you keep screwing up with the timing, then something will happen, and that's what appears to be about the fact that, again, if you accidentally touch the the dark banana, obviously you have to restart everything on this, so... Oh, jeez, that was close. I've almost gonna get myself screwed over, but luckily we've succeeded, so... Thank goodness for that, and also I've unlocked that particular mission as well, because I've never actually beaten this stage whenever I first got the game, so... But we're not done yet, because we've only got 2 stages left, which there are Swing, Bar, Long, which I already know right from the start though, is that this stage is already difficult as it is, because you need to get yourselves a good, right, steady movement if the actual swing bar goes back and forth in between left and right, but luckily it actually took me about 2 attempts, strangely enough. Anyways folks, here we go on to the final stage in the entire Let's Play of Super Monkey Ball Banana Mania, as far as the main game as far as I'm concerned. So in some cases though, we have the Sega logo again, except now it's going to take place in Dark Banana mode. So, and as always, much like the defaults of how it does it on the Destruction level, is that it actually gives us some additional timer. Specifically, we've now got 90 seconds, so... And yeah, I apologize for that particular awkward commentary sometimes, but that's just because, well, suffice to say, we've also stumbled across this exactly same issue as we've already encountered during the course of the forms of Sonic Frontiers Let's Play so far. That's, of course, yet again, our microphone just keeps on glitching out all of a sudden, which I seriously need to fix that, so... Anyways, it does requires me a lot of concentration on here. Alright, let's go make sure we don't mess this last bit up. Oop. Okay, almost there, and booyah! We've done it. We've done everything in the Dark Banana mode. And that was it, ladies and gentlemen. That was it for every single content for Super Monkey Ball Banana Mania, aside from the fact that there is still marathon mode, but then again though, it just plays out exactly the same in terms of stage variety, except that you don't able to actually come across into repeated bonus stages in during the forms of Super Monkey Ball 1 challenge mode for its marathon mode. So yeah, I guess that's that basically. So, but even then though, I suppose, before we end off this particular Let's Play right here, it's about the fact that, well, relatively speaking though, if we go back onto the main menu or something like that, obviously about the fact that we can able to realize that, I believe you can only able to actually access the forms of one of those, yet another unlockable thing. That's what appears to be the staff credits, and I believe in order to get that, I'm pretty sure you need to be able to actually beat story mode for the first time, so at least if I'm mistaken. But either way though, let's get into the gallery and head over to the credits, and basically we can now able to see the entire staff credit sequence, and suffice to say, let's give my final thoughts of Super Monkey Ball Banana Mania. I will say though, I'm actually very impressed of how this game plays out to be, and it certainly feels a massive, it certainly is a massive step up from the likes of any other Super Monkey Ball games in the past, ranging from Super Monkey Ball Adventure, Super Monkey Ball Banana Blitz on the Wii, and Step and Roll 3D and Banana Blitz HD. But regardless of everything else though, I had a really good time with Banana Mania, and it's not the best, but I will admit though, it certainly is a great game. Like, first off, I really love the nostalgia factor to it though, especially noticeable with while playing with Super Monkey Ball 1 and Super Monkey Ball 2 before, and you obviously about the fact you do realize all those levels are remade from the ground up with a new coat of paint, and it looks amazing. So, but even then though, yeah, I really appreciate about that. And the gameplay itself plays pretty much just like the defaults of how it does it on the other games, even though the momentum and physics has been slightly altered or different, thanks to the defaults of, well, let's just say, Unity engine as far as I'm concerned. Although, mind you, the actual movement and a momentum, it feels very similar to Banana Blitz HD. Well, apart from those side of things though, it doesn't bother me too much, well, apart from a couple of stage exceptions here and there, which is to be more specifically Catwalk and all that stuff. And also I feel like the visuals are pretty good for the most part, except with the cutscenes in story mode because it feels kind of lackluster this time around, so yeah, that feels a bit disappointing. And the soundtrack, why, I do like certain remix tracks, but ultimately though, I just prefer the classic OST soundtrack, which, good thing about that is that, like I said before, it can be purchasable for its DLC, so at the very least you gonna be definitely trying to able to get that, because the classic OST sounds amazing again, so... And on top of all that stuff though, the controls-wise are pretty okay for the most part. It's just about the fact that it's nowhere near as like perfection compared to the forms of Super Monkey Ball 1, Super Monkey Ball 2, and Deluxe on the Xbox version. But apart from those side things though, yeah, you're still able to actually recommend getting this game either on the PlayStation 4, or PlayStation 5, or Xbox One, or Xbox Series X, or Series S for download versions, or PC Steam, or Nintendo Switch if you play the game on the go. So yeah, that's what I can really think about it. The only negative things I can think about it is that, like I said before, the story mode cutscenes are a little bit more lackluster, so it's definitely a massive step down. And on top of all that stuff though, sometimes the momentum and physics doesn't seem to match compared to the forms of how it does on the GameCube titles, including Deluxe on the Xbox version, but it does take me a bit of a while to get used to with the controls and momentum and everything else like that. And, of course, certain party games are looking at you, Monkey Target, why you seriously got screwed up again after the events of Banana Blitz HD. Like, that was their fan favorite minigame or party game in any Monkey Ball game by far, but now look at you, you're now more likely a downsized version of the beloved classic party game, which is kind of sad honestly, but either way though, that's what I can really think about it, I guess. So yeah, you should definitely recommend getting this game, and I'm sure that most people already know this, or they already managed able to get this game already. There's a good thing about the fact that this game exists anyway to mark the 20th anniversary of the release of the Super Monkey Ball franchise, and yeah, it's nice to see the Monkey Ball series is about to be able to go back into its classic roots again. Even though it's a bit weird that we're probably not going to get a new Monkey Ball game anytime soon, because, you know, we've already just got Banana Mania just recently for about 2 years ago, roughly. So, even then, no, that's as far as I can usually think about this. So, even then, no, yeah, thank you guys so much for watching our Let's Play of Super Monkey Ball Banana Mania. I know it's been a lot of fun, and by the way, the theme song for the game is usually being called Hello Banana, and all that stuff, and I'm not exactly sure who sings this, even though let me know in the comments down below. But either way though, yeah, I hope you guys do enjoy this Let's Play. So this is me, Silver the Hedgehog, from the likes of the Mexi Toys. Up next, in terms of the Super Monkey Ball series of Let's Plays, I would say next up we'll do Super Monkey Ball on a Nokia N-Gage. So yeah, we're going into a bit of an obscure territory by going on to Super Monkey Ball on a Nokia N-Gage. So yeah, to celebrate the 20th anniversary of that game potentially. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys soon. Bye.